Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. Today we're going to go over all the basics you need to know for caring for pigs in Farming Simulator 19. If this is what you're looking for, please stay tuned. Alright folks, so it's been a while and I know this is late coming out. This game came out, what, 2 years or more now ago? So I know this is a bit late to the game, but I have had people ask me for one of these. So I figured I would just go ahead and put one out in case you guys wanted it. So we're just going to go over just the very basics of pigs and how to take care of them. Now, you'll see some of the things I'll do in here. You'll say, oh, there's a mod that makes that easier. That's because I'm not going to cover mods or do anything like that. One major mod that I'd recommend is the milling machine. I'm not going to go into what it's going to do, or I'm not going to go into all the aspects of what it's going to do and everything like that, but that's one mod, if you know what that is, that I would recommend using. But that's all we're going to talk about mods. We're going to get into pigs. So as far as pigs go, we have a small pig pen and a big pig pen. So if we go into the store here, if we go over to placeables under animal pens, we scroll over, we have a small pig enclosure here and a large pig enclosure. The small one is $90,000 to buy, costs $90 a day, and holds 100 pigs. The large pig enclosure costs $250 a day, is $250,000 to buy, and holds 300 pigs. So a lot of people see all this down here and say that, well, that's a lot of stuff going on to take care of pigs. It seems like a lot. You don't need to use all of it. You just need parts of it. So, and I'll go over that as we get going into here. So first off, pigs basically need a few just essential things to get going. One, you have to purchase and put pigs into your pen. Two, you have to feed pigs with the appropriate feed. Three, you have to place straw into their pen. Four, you have to put water in. Pigs produce manure, they produce slurry, and they produce more pigs. Those are the three things that you're going to get out of pigs. So manure and slurry can be sold at a lot of maps at the BGA, and you can make decent money doing that, as well as it being a free fertilizer for your fields. However, pigs, the actual reproduction rate on pigs is so fast when you have a few of them that is the main source of income for you. So when we take a look at a pig pen here, we'll take a look at the small one and the large one here, and I'll show you where all the points are. They're basically the same for each. It's the same basic layout. That's just a slightly larger version of it than this here. So I'm just going to go over this one first. So here's the food trough. So you can back up to here and dump it in using either a bucket or a trailer and dump it into here, the appropriate food, which we'll go over in a second. This is the place where you're going to put pigs in, which we'll go over real quick. So if I come up to here, I'm actually going to leave the help menu on for a lot of this. If I hit R, that's going to open up this menu. There are white pigs, black and white, black pigs, and pink pigs. So they got basically all your pigs. I already have 10 pigs in here. Now, the first way you can add pigs in is simply by going over here and hitting move. So I can put another pink pig in, or I can come over here and I can move one back. So there's, oops. What do I got going? Oh, yes, sell, buy and sell. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of that one I wanted to add in at the very bottom here. We'll move that one back. Oh, did I put a different one in? Anyhow, so you can move them back and forth, and it's going to show you what's going on in here. So if I escape out of there, go back into here, it didn't do anything. So if I wanted to add, let's say, 10 white pigs in, I could do that. It's going to cost me $1,500 per pig. They're all the same price. And if you use this method to put them in, there's a $100 transport fee per pig. So we'll go ahead and confirm that. So now we have them in there. Now, if we go into our menu here, go over to animals. This is the pig pen that we're in here. If you have two separate types of animals, just like any other animal enclosure, it's going to show up as two different sections here. And we'll go over all the other details in here in a minute. So moving around the pig pen here, this is where the manure is going to be generated and put. This is where slurry, you can get slurry out that the pigs produce. This checkered box here is where we're going to insert straw. And this is where we're going to put water into the pen. So a lot of these aspects are pretty simple to do as far as care goes. So water is pretty simple. Backing up to this, you can use the Aquatrans, which is located in the store under, if we go over to animals, there's the Aquatrans, holds 7,300 liters of water, is 9,500 to buy. So if I fill that up with water at a different water point, I hit I, it's going to place water into the pen. It's pretty self-explanatory and it's pretty easy to do. Now if I hop out, straw, one way to put straw in is using just a trailer full of straw, loose straw. So if I come up to it like this, I can hit I and it's going to unload, and you're going to see a little bit of a straw texture start to show up in the pen there. Perfect. So those are the two, I would say, easiest functions of this. Now what's going to get more complicated is the feeding. So this is where we're going to hop into the actual menu here. So we're in our small pig enclosure here. And there's a few things to note through here. So first off, productivity. It's going to be 0 to 100% depending on a lot of different factors. And I'll go over those factors as we continue. The reproduction rate is how many hours it's going to take for you to get another animal. Now these will each have different reproduction rates since they're two different types of pigs. The next animal in is going to tell you how long it is until you get the next one. So for an example, if the reproduction rate is 2 hours and you wait 1 hour, the 2 hours will still remain the same as the reproduction rate, but down here it's only going to say an hour left until you get the next one. Down here is going to show you the amount of manure and liters that you have stored up in the manure pit I showed you, and this will show you the amount of slurry and liters that you have stored as well. Now if we move over here, the food trough, like many animals, needs to be cleaned. If it is not cleaned, this 100% cleanliness will begin to drop. So depending on how dirty it is, it'll be from 100 to 0. So it can go back and forth through here. Water, that's how much water we have. We just put 1,741 liters in. So you can fill that up as much as you want. When you are playing in regular game mode, not seasons, you can put enough of every category in here. The max you can put in is enough for the last of the pigs for 10 days. Now, of course, that number does change every time they reproduce and produce more pigs, but in general, it's 10 days. So straw, 6,000 liters for 20 pigs, because this is the same for both of these. It's the same numbers as you'll see across the platform there. 6,000 liters is enough straw to last for 10 days. Now, the food is where it gets a little bit more complicated. There are 4 categories down here. 1 for corn, 1 for wheat and barley, 1 for soybeans, canola, and sunflowers, and 1 for potatoes and sugar beets. Now, the corn is it's just what it is. You can just put corn in that category to satisfy that requirement. Under the wheat and barley category, you can choose one. I usually use barley because if you're growing it yourself, it produces more per acre than wheat does. Then the next one is soybeans, canola, and sunflower. You just need to put one in. I usually use canola as it produces more per acre. Then down here, potatoes and sugar beets, you only need one, and I usually use sugar beets as it produces more per acre. However, if you have the equipment for potatoes, for example, you're probably going to use potatoes because it's cheaper to do that than get all the sugar beet equipment. So you use what you have around the farm. And if you're doing harvest contracts, if you know how those works, there's usually some leftover crop at the end. That's a great way to feed pigs. If you have corn, wheat, barley, soybeans, canola, sunflower, sugar beet, or potatoes, you can then put it into here. Now, if you have, let's say, this half filled with sugar beets and you want to fill it the rest of the way up, but you only have potatoes, you can just put the potatoes in and it'll satisfy that requirement. That works the same way with these other categories. Now, as far as the productivity rate grows, the cleanliness will affect part of that. However, if we go down here, the actual effectiveness of feed is what we need to look at. So corn, if you only feed them corn, the effectiveness is 50%, as it says down here. If you only feed them wheat or barley, it'll be 25%. If you only feed them soybeans, canola, or sunflowers, it will only be 20% effective. And if you only feed them sugar beets or potatoes, which is basically the cheapest option, it will only be 5% effective. Now, if you feed them everything except for sugar beets, it'll be 95% effective because it's adding these up. Any combination of these will give you what you're looking for. So if you feed them corn and sugar beets, you're going to get 55% effectiveness. Now, there is also an alternative way to feed pigs if you don't want to deal with the different crops. You can buy pig food at the store in big bags. They're $1,000 for 1,000 liters. So it's definitely, I would say, not the cheapest way to go about it. It's more expensive, but it is simpler. And as you dump pig food into here, it will just start filling up all of the categories. So we'll take a look at that as well. So if we're going to fill this up with different variations or different pig foods, what we're going to do is we're just go ahead and we're going to use all the different ones. So we'll put barley in here until it stops. And you'll see it takes different amounts of different crop types as well to satisfy it. And it might actually end up taking all of some of our crop types here. Nope, almost all the barley. So we'll move this tractor out of the way. I'm actually going to turn that help menu off just for now because it's in the way. And this one has canola in it, which again, this is one of the crops I'd recommend using. So if I pull up to here, I can hit I to start unloading. And we'll wait until that stops. And we'll see how much it takes. There we go. Move this out of the way. Then we will get in our tractor that has the corn in it. We'll pull up. And essentially, if you have a bunch of big fields, you could just do a massive corn harvest and a massive canola harvest and all these different ones, just rotate through them as needed. And you can make decent money on pigs if you get a very large structure of pigs going where they're actually producing a lot of them. Because every time, even though you're buying pigs for $1,500, you're not going to sell them for $1,500 a piece, but you do end up selling them for $1,000 a piece if you transport them yourself to the store, which we'll look at that in a second as well. All right. Let's get in the last one. This should take 18,000 liters of this as well. Sorry, I guess I did mention that they take different amounts. It should be the same amount unless you use pig food. The pig food will fill in different categories at different rates. That's kind of what I was referring to. I apologize for any confusion from that. Now, if we go into the menu here, 18,000 liters of each. So they are all full and good to go. And their productivity, once we actually, let's speed up time just a touch here. So every 15 minutes on the clock is when you'll get an update for their productivity and everything else they have going on. So as you can see, they're eating some of it, and they eat it at different rates. So this is at 17,999, 17,996, 17,995, and 17,990. So they're eating the corn faster. Their productivity is 100%. They're producing manure and slurry, and a reproduction rate should pop up there soon. So if we fast forward through the hour, and we go back into the menu. So right now, since there's not very many pigs in there, they're producing an animal every 14 hours, which is a lot faster than any other animal, except for chickens probably are going to produce a little bit faster. So that's quite a bit faster at that rate with the pigs that are in there. So, okay, that is everything that I have to mention about that. So the second way to get pigs and put them into a pen is if we go up here, we're going to go up to, we're on no man's land here. So we're going to go to the livestock dealer, which just happens to be right up here. So you can use a trailer. If we look in the store here under animal transport, this is the one I'm using. It holds 9 pigs. There are some other options which you can use dollies and whatnot or semi-trucks to move around, but this is the cheapest and smallest option. So this is the animal dealer. These are the checkered boxes for it. So if you back the trailer into it, hit R, you can purchase whatever pigs or other animals you need. So if I wanted to, I could purchase, just move over here, and you notice there's not gonna be any fee for transport. And I have pigs in here. So if I confirm that, I can now drive this over to, I'll take this to our large animal pen and show you just the unloading process, which is pretty self-explanatory and very easy to do. So this is a good way to transport pigs if you're trying to make more money, since you're cutting out that transport fee. But again, if the place where you're going to sell pigs is at, which is the livestock market, by the way, you do the same thing, you back in there to sell them. So if you have that across the map, you don't want to transport them, then it might be easier to do this. So this is the Betty Max, this is the farm. We're going to move all these over. We're going to hit confirm. Now, if I did want to take pigs out to sell them, I can hit R, and then I can move pigs over and confirm, and now they're in the trailer. So I'm going to hit R again. I'm just going to keep them in there, confirm, and I'm going to hop out. So that's a good way to do that. Yeah, so as far as other ways to feed the animals or feed the pigs, what we can do, if we have this pig pen here, this is the large one, so it's just bigger. Everything else is the same about it. If we come over here, water is going to be the same to get them water, and feed is going to be the same to give them feed. However, here I have a trailer of pig food, so if I just put some pig food in, I'll do that, and then if I stop it and go into the menu here under the large enclosure, you see it's filling all the categories unevenly, but it's filling them all. Now, one thing that I like to do, which is a good way, I think, to go about it, so I don't like to provide the soybeans, canola, or sunflowers, because I usually can sell them for more than $1,000 per 1,000 liters. So I'll provide them the sugar beets or potatoes, the wheat or barley, and the corn. So one way to go about that is if I go in here, I'm just going to put stuff in my trailer here. So if I fill this up with barley, I'm using the easy development commands just to fill this quickly, just to do this as an example. So once that stops, I'll go in. Perfect, and then I'm going to fill this with, go to corn, there we go, and fill this with corn. Put all the corn I need in there. And once that gets done, we will put sugar beets or potatoes in there, doesn't matter. I'll put sugar beets in since that's what I normally like to use. And then I can fill this with sugar beets. And if we go into the menu, obviously under these pigs here, it's going to just have these guys full, and this one's going to be empty. So I wait for that to fill up. Stop. There we go. Now, if I put pig food in this, the menu has all these full except for this, but I can still put pig food in there because I still need food. But if I go into the menu now, it's only using that pig food by volume to fill up this one category. So it's slowly going to fill up that more expensive category. So that is one way to do it. It's not the most realistic way, obviously, but that's the way I do things a lot of time, just to kind of get things figured out that way. So slowly going in, but as we check in on it, it's slowly going to fill up that. So I'll stop. That's pretty much explained that. A second way to add straw in is if you want to do it by bales instead of loose. So you can't just throw a bale in here and it just be good to go. You have to use a straw blower, which is one thing I have on the front of here. So if we go under animals, these are 3 different straw blower attachments. This one here is for the front loader, this is for the telehandler, and this is for the wheel loader here. So there you go. You have different options of those. And then you have one that's kind of a drive behind where you can put bales just in it and it will blow them out. And you can put usually more than one. It says 1 bale, but you can put more than one in there. So to feed this thing, all we have to do is take a bale. And it doesn't necessarily matter exactly how you get it in there or how it looks in there. But we're just going to do this. And see if we can't drop a bale in there. Oop, maybe need to move over a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact. If we get a bale in there, perfect. Now if I hop in the tractor here and get over to that, it says I. It's going to slowly put straw in, and you can see the fill level down there going up. Now another thing I will note about this, oop, I knocked the bale out, but not a big deal. I can turn that off by hitting I again. Now one thing you can do, these things do come, if you look up in the upper left hand corner, it shows there's 3 attachments, but we know we have the front loader attachment, which is this guy. So I can detach the whole front loader, as you can see there. I'll reattach it. Now if I detach from, if I go to there and I detach from there, that's just bringing the front loader off. Now if I go back and I attach that again, pushing the straw bale out of the way, and I just detached that far end, these things come with the bale spike. So if I needed to move a straw bale around, I can now do that. So just something to note as well. That way you don't have to necessarily buy a spike as well if you don't want to. But there you go. And that is most of how to take care of pigs. But the last thing I did not cover is how to clean up after them. So they will slowly over time make a mess of their pen, which let me move this tractor out of the way. I'll fast forward time while we're doing this so we can start making a mess. As you can see, there's some food appearing on the ground there. So you can see there as it's appearing. I'll go ahead and I'll slow time back down and I'll actually get it to daytime here. There we go. Now we can see what we're doing. So if we go to this pen, cleanliness is 86%. It's not terrible. It really isn't. But if we want to clean that up, you can use a front loader or a skid steer loader or anything like that. So if I come up here, get that flat with the ground, just drive across here. Theoretically speaking, if I can get it lined up correctly. Lift it up just a little bit. There we go. And as you can see, I'm picking up the pig feed from there. Now if I fast forward time a little bit, now it's gonna be, might be a touch dirty. Well, it's actually not, it's cleaned up, but you can see it's getting cleaned up by this. And this will produce pig food on the ground, which if you want to, you can just immediately dump back into the pen, which is what I do a lot of the time. And that will go into the pen. Now another thing to note is how to get manure and slurry out, which just in case you didn't know, we'll go over that real quick. So I drive back around here to the back. This is a manure spreader. You can also put it in any one of the just regular bulk trailers if you're going to sell it off somewhere or do something. But if you're going to spread it around, you'll probably use a manure spreader. As you can see, there it is on the ground. I can just come in here and I can just scoop it up. And I have 492 liters in here, which is probably all we really had. And again, you can use front loader, skid steer loader, or telehandler, or a wheel loader, or anything you want. Now to get slurry out, any tank that can hold slurry, this is a slurry spreader. I just have to hit R and it's going to show me the slurry level, and I can hit start and it's just going to fill it up. So that is everything I have for you guys. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop them down in the comments. I'm happy to try to help out as much as possible. But yeah, that's everything. Oh, actually one more thing. The pig food big bags are in here, right here. It's $1,000 for 1,000 liters. And they do appear at the store. You can move them with pallet forks if you want. I don't prefer to do that because I'm not very good with pallet forks, but here's how they appear right here. If you pull up next to them with a trailer, I can hit R and it's going to start transferring it into this trailer here, and you'll see the big food bag. The pig food big bag will disappear once it's done. So that's another way to move stuff about. But anyhow, guys, that's everything I have for you today about pigs. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like down below. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button up on your screen to join the Farmer Cop channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching.